Hey, what is up, everybody? Everyone does the year-end list across all of YouTube, so I decided this year I'd jump on the bandwagon and make my own because I do have a number of products that I'm really enjoying and I really feel confident about recommending. So let's start right off. My first favorite product that I use this year is these Modal Infinity tools. Full disclosure, the company did send these to me, but then I ended up using them and absolutely loving them. So they're basically, great for bike packing and everyday carry. Like they're just these stretchy straps, and I know you've seen a bunch of stuff like this before. But the interesting thing on these is their little clip system. So as you can see, there's holes everywhere, so you could clip it anywhere at any size and just use it typically to strap whatever you want. But the cool thing is there's a couple different ways you could use it too, is if you feed it through here, you could really use it to cinch stuff down, which is pretty cool. The other thing I really like about them is you can also feed the strap two ways through that loop. So say you wanted to not have anything touching, any metal touching your bike, you could loop it through like that and secure it down. And then, say you wanted to attach something to your frame, you wouldn't be having any metal bits rub on your frame. It's funny, in their original marketing material, when they sent me a link, they said like, oh, wear one on your wrist so you always have it. And I kind of just put it on my wrist, and I was more thinking like, yeah, right, like I'm going to do that. And I've left it on there, and it's already come in handy twice. My buddy Micah broke his derailleur hanger, and I was able to use it then to secure. We turned it into a single speed then to get the rest of the way where we were going, the extra housing and stuff. And it was a brand new titanium bike. I was able to do it in the way I just showed you, where I looped it through so no metal was rubbing on his bike. So it did come in handy for that. Another goofy way I've been using it is with the way my bag is set up on the front of my rally right now. When I use my headlight on the bars, I can't see. So I've been securing the front of the bag down so I could get a little more angle on my headlight. So a random use that I found for it, your typical belay strap. I use belay straps still, and I think a lot of people own belay straps. But the reason that I think it has a different use. There's some crossover, but belay straps are still, I think, my preferred method. I know, for securing like my Swift Industries, Paradise style bags to either the handlebars or the saddle loops on your bike. They're less stretchy. They're much thinner. So belay straps, you should still have a few of those, I think, depending on what you do. The reason I also like these better, though, than belay straps is when I would be touring, I'd carry a couple of these extra ones, just that kind of use case where you don't know, you might need it for something. But belay straps don't stay secure unless don't stay very secure unless they have pressure on them. So, you could easily lose one of these, where these will never go anywhere with the way that little clip system works. A couple different colors and two different lengths. My next favorite thing of the year was Jack the Bike Rack. You've probably seen it if you watch Russ Pathless Pedaled and if you watch Terry B. They both had prototype versions early on, and then the company did a Kickstarter. I got in early on the Kickstarter, and I finally got mine sometime in the fall. This company had so many problems getting them out with COVID shutdowns and anodization problems, whatever. They've got it sorted. They're just really cool because you basically don't need any mounts to attach these to your bike. They just cantilever with this nylon strap, keeps it from falling down. And then this other strap goes around your stem, and that keeps it from popping up on you. So just a really cool product. One of the big reasons I thought it'd be cool is I have a bunch of bikes, and it's so easy to move it between the different bikes with the way it mounts. Also, with me having different vintage bikes and doing different builds, like, my cable routing is all over the place, sometimes out front with old kinds of bikes. So this, doesn't really get in the way. The main way I've ended up using it is almost just as a standoff. So my cables aren't getting smashed against the head tube when I use my bike packing bags on the front, because I've just been securing my bike packing bags back to the head tube, and the cables are getting crunched in there and you're scratching up your head tube. So I love it for that, but it does have other uses because they have these little hooks on here. So you could just use it as almost a platform to stack stuff on. You could put a box on it. Depending on the configuration you ordered it with, they gave you different kind of tie downs. I went with these bungee cords. Jack the Bike Rack, love it. It has actually, I have tried it on a couple bikes, but it's just been living on the rally because I love the fact that now my bag is like right up there, but then I could also tie extra stuff to the bag. Like I was saying with the Modal straps, I attached stuff to the front of it. I could attach extra stuff to the side. So really cool. It was a Kickstarter and they're not actually selling them yet, but I would keep an eye on their website because they're just wrapping up getting all the Kickstarters, their racks. And I can imagine they're going to launch a pre-sale or something like that here. Next up, let's talk bike lights. It's that time of year where I have to use a light after work, both directions. This is another thing that got sent to me, and I do actually have an affiliate link for it, but that I totally stand by. I've always used Night Rider lights, and they've been fine. It's what my local shop sells, so it's what I've used. But this is an O light. I don't really understand their branding because they do say Magic Shine on them, and I see reviews for Magic Shines. But this one is O light, and the link is O light, and it's an RN 1500. The things I really like about this is, first off, USB-C. Thank God. Micro USB is the worst thing in the world. Their weatherproof flap over it is really easy to open. The other things, it just has a really nice machined feel, but the button on top compared to my Night Riders is so nice, especially this time of year. Got big lobster gloves on and you need to turn it on. So it's basically, if you do a short press, it tells you the battery life. Long press, turns it on, and then you click through the 3 power modes, and it's very bright. I run my lights at usually the lowest I can, so the battery lasts the longest. And then if you're really off in the woods and you really need to see where you're going, then I turn them up. But yeah, so once you have it on too, it'll go back to whatever mode you had it on last, which is kind of nice because it's probably the mode you want to use. But then it is just a double click to go to a flashing mode. And then again, single press to go through those, so double click back to solid, and then long press turns it off. Compared to the Night Riders with all these different clicking patterns, if you've ever used one, they're just a little annoying. And it also has a Garmin mount. I'm not a Garmin user, but I bet that's probably beneficial to a lot of people who already have a bunch of different Garmin mounts. And then it also came with a GoPro mount in the box, which for me has been beneficial. I've had this since the beginning of August. So longevity, it hasn't lost any life yet. So 4 months in. The other new light is a Night Rider. And so to be fair to them, this is the new tail light, their newer tail light from this year. And it is USB-C. So hopefully Night Rider's going in that direction with their whole lineup. Again, this one is a press to turn it on, and it's just super bright. As you can see, it's this whole LED board. And then you just cycle through the different patterns with a single press. And, it's got dimmer ones, longer flashing ones, when you want it to be more aggressive, the solid one, just a bunch of little options on the tail light. And again, just a long press to turn it off. Nice thing is the button on top here to turn it on and off is very raised. So again, even in my lobster gloves, it's very easy to turn off and on. I could reach back and know I'm hitting that button, which is important to me. Highly recommended product. I also like its mounting system. I keep that mounting system on the Rally all the time. It's got some tilt adjustment. But then there's a nice, strong enough hook on here that I could hook this on to if I put a saddlebag on or just other kinds of mounts on different bikes. This next one is something I've brought up on my bike packing videos before, but it's something that I've absolutely been loving that I got, is the idea of getting a quilt over a sleeping bag for summer bike camping, bike touring, and then also for an extra layer on the colder ones. The ones I got, I had walked into an REI knowing I wanted to find something like this, and the brand they had was Rumpl, and I had no idea. I had not done a lot of research. I just knew I wanted one, and it was very expensive, but I'm like, I've seen what down puffy coats cost, so maybe that's not out of line. Ended up loving it. So the reason I like the down quilts over the sleeping bag is my sleeping bag is a mummy style, and I just, in the summer, it's a little bit of an overkill, and I also toss and turn. So having a down quilt that I could kind of vent and be able to move around a little bit, I just really love that. And they pack down much smaller. My sleeping bag's also synthetic. Some people said, why not unzip your sleeping bag all the way? That's something to keep in mind if you're shopping for a sleeping bag. Maybe make sure you're going to get one that unzips all the way. But yeah, it's just been a huge benefit. It's much more comfortable for me and the way I sleep. Then I got sent one by a company. And again, they didn't ask for anything. They said, try this out. It's called Get Out Gear. And this one is 1/3 the price of the Rumpl. So the Rumpl's over $200. This was, I think, maybe 70. And they both have some closure so you could actually wear them as capes too around the fire and all that kind of stuff. So Aaron used that one when we went out east in the fall because we basically brought the quilts as an extra layer over our sleeping bags because it was going to be chilly on a couple of the nights. And so she used that. And then I had her feel the Rumpl and asked her, I'm like, can you tell the difference? And she was like, yeah, there's definitely more downfill in the Rumpl and it just feels like a more premium product. The other thing I think you're paying for with Rumpl is they're a carbon neutral company. They use 100% recycled materials in the synthetic, nylon like layering. And then all they're down, and I know there's two ends of the spectrum and people's opinions on this, but all they're down is a byproduct of the food industry. So, and they also support local artists. They have local to wherever they are, I guess. But artists do like the designs and they pay artists well from what I understand. So yeah, you could go either end of the spectrum there. The Rumpl I bought with my own money. The Get Out Gear one got sent to me, but it shows there is a huge spectrum in price. And they're both pretty nice. It's funny because I've never thought of any of my camping gear as stuff I would use around the house, but I've actually been sleeping with the Get Out Gear one on my bed and even like using it on the couch during the day. I love having a super light quilt just over my legs when, watching TV in the evening or even sleeping. And I never thought that, the material that like sleeping bags and quilts are made out of is actually really comfortable to me. So there you go. This next one is kind of a three-parter. So when I was building up my Marin, it's a 90s Team Marin mountain bike, I knew I wanted to do a basket setup on this bike. I haven't had a basket bike, and that's what I wanted to do. I was at Dirty River Bicycle Works, and I was telling them the rack I was looking at was the Renaers and Velo oranges, which are both pretty pricey. The Renaers, I think, might be over $100. Don't quote me on that. And the Velo orange was considerably expensive too. The thing is, I was leaving on a bike packing trip, and I wanted to take this with me just a couple weeks out. He told me he wasn't going to be able to get the Renaers in time and that he didn't know anyone had used the Velo orange, so he couldn't recommend it yet. Not saying it's a bad product, just hadn't tried it. And he was like, I could get you this Sunrace rack by tomorrow. This Sunrace rack is, I think, $17. It was under 20. And I'm like, what? Could that be any good? And he was like, it just does what it needs to do. So it has a couple mounting options. Mine, since it's a vintage, mountain bike, it just goes right to the post from the cantilever brakes and then right to the, the fork crown where you would put like a fender mount or something like that. So mount super easy. It'll also mount to, mid fork mounts. And you could also use like the hose clamp style things if you don't have mounts, whatever. But under $20. And he was kind of like, try it out, see if you like having the basket and that setup. I put it on and I've just kept it on because it does what it's supposed to do. It's not that heavy. It definitely doesn't look as cool as a Renaers or a Velo orange rack, but I have the Wald 137 basket on it anyways. So you really don't see it. And the Wald 137, that's the second part to this. I love it. Living the basket life or running those. Mine was one of the limited edition colors that they do with the extra coating. It's kind of nice for that. And then the third part would be I got the Roadrunner bag that goes in there. Again, model name on screen now. But I love it. What I really like about this basket bag is the way the roll top is. It's kind of easy to roll it up and have it be waterproof and nothing's going to come out. But still, you could dip your hand in without like even completely undoing it. So it's still accessible. That's kind of one of the things my Carrot Ice style bags from Swift, I don't like as much. They're just a little harder to get into when you're riding. This is very easy to get into when you're riding. Also very easy to overstuff all the way up to the top. When we were doing the Gap Trail, I was riding with my camera bag on my back. And there's a couple times where it looked like we might get some serious rain. And this is supposed to be waterproof. So I actually had a little room to stuff that on top of my clothes, if that's what I was keeping in the basket, and then roll it up and just have that extra room to really batten down the hatches. And then there is a front pocket, which I like having something quick and accessible. That would be like, for me, a wallet and a small honesty lock and my saddle cover, some things that I could grab really, really quick. So really into the Roadrunner bag. It works perfect with the baskets. Talk to some other friends about different basket bags they have. It seems like the Roadrunner one too, for being well built, is a lot lighter than some of the other basket bags. Erin was telling me hers is noticeably heavy on her bike. So products, those three things I totally recommend. I can't believe I'm recommending a under $20 bike rack, but it does what it needs to do and it's not overly heavy. And a bonus thing on that rack is Roadrunner also makes a feeder bag that is made to attach to a basket. So I got one of those. I've never been able to use stem feeder bags, even though I think they're cool to have an extra bottle or quickly accessible food or whatever you would want to put in there. But the way I ride so far forward on the bike is a stem bag would never work for me because my knee would hit it. So this gives me that extra little capacity for, like I said, an extra bottle or some food, whatever you want it to be. I used it for a camera lens on one trip too. So little bonus thing, those Roadrunner feeder bags that go on walled baskets are great. So a final little shout out to our friends over at BCM Plastics, who is a local company to where I am, Northeast Ohio, that makes these cool, colorful valve caps. Just a little, extra flair for your bike. It's kind of cool just to color match, in that way. So want to shout out those guys. I'll link them below. Again, just friends, not sponsored. But that's kind of it for the list. Just a few things that I've really enjoyed using this year. I am working on a video next too about the actual bike products. So stuff that I've done to upgrade my Raleigh and some, the bars, some shifting stuff, all the stuff that I really like for actually riding in the next video. That's it for now. I will see you in the next one. Thanks as always for watching.